up? What up? What up, Panther Nation, Pantherologist? What is going on, Ropp Star Nation now? I still think Pantherologist still comes to my head just because of being Pantherology for so many years, or for the past 3 years, right? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you pound the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share the live, get in the comment section. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go through today's show. Of course, your host as always, Clay. Roppstar92 is all my social media. The link tree is down below. Join the Discord and check out BetUSA's sponsorship of today's video or live stream. Sorry, I always say video, but it's a live stream. So I appreciate everyone joining. Beautiful Wednesday morning. Yeah, we got lots to talk about, guys. We have lots to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. So appreciate everyone joining, coming in here, and all that. I see y'all in here already. Jadarius is in here. Panther Raider X is in here. Mad Chatter's already in here. Appreciate everyone already getting in the chat. Yeah, dude, rumors already are surrounding a bunch of wide receivers, right? With these whole trade rumors going on. Marquise Brown is one. T. Higgins is another, and then another rumor is Devontae Adams. Then there's another rumor of Jamison Williams. Then there's a rumor of Jared Judy and Cortland Sutton. I doubt both, but apparently we've reached out to Denver about both wide receivers. If I'm getting one of those two from Denver, it's definitely Jared Judy. Marquise Brown right now would be, at least from the rumor standpoint, is top of my list. I don't think Devontae Adams is going to be someone we're going to be able to get. I just don't see it. I think Adams is the right guy for the job. I looked over the 22. You got my takes, shocking takes. Did you see? Yes, I saw all of them, Matt Chatter. I'm sorry I didn't reply to them. I did get all your takes. But yeah, it's crazy. We definitely will. I will break down this weekend's game after the Detroit game. I will definitely do a 22 breakdown. We would have to give up Burns and tons of picks for Adams. Yeah, it's just Adams is the right choice. He's going to be he's the right guy. Apparently, this whole thing about Scott Fitter saying we were in on every deal is just it's insane because we passed up on DeAndre Hopkins for a $13 million deal, and we could have got him for what we basically paid for Miles Sanders. And we're going to be talking more about that. Bryce, much better than I've thought. He definitely improved. Yeah, absolutely, Matt Chatter. He definitely improved in this last game, right? So obviously we're going to be talking about some of the issues he has. We're going to talk about power rankings, trade rumors. We're going to also be breaking down the Detroit Lions. We're also going to be breaking down what the percentages looks like for the rest of the schedule. Like, are we going to be able to win any of these games on the rest of the schedule? Right. And then we're going to be talking about the reasons why we're just fumbling in 2023. So we're going to dive into all of that. Let's get right into the first things first, news and updates. Bryce Young is facing some difficult adjustments, I think, from coming from college to the NFL. Questionable offensive personnel, coaching decisions. His progress has been hindered, but in the last game, I will say he did progress compared to the Saints and the New Orleans games, but he is still struggling, right? I think the lack of losing experience in college and his low yards per pass attempt indicated that the challenges of what he is facing, right? There's obviously a lot of issues, injuries on the offensive line, no run game helping him take pressure off, right? There's multiple issues upon the reason why I feel that Bryce Young is struggling. Wide receivers not creating separation, right? So, and there's other issues that we're fumbling, and we're going to dive into that today as well. Obviously, with the poor start that we've had to the season, ESPN has now placed us at ranked of 31 teams. That's a huge concern because our run defense performance and the impact of this team overall defensive effectiveness, right? That's one of the big reasons also why we are also lacking in a lot of these issues too, right? I mean, that's another issue, run defense, okay? There's multiple issues to this team, and I've broken them down multiple times, right? There's a lot of issues here, okay? So when it comes to those kinds of things, guys, it's a lot of different things. Now, I think there's too many voices, abundance of voices. That's why I have it up there. Is also an issue. Right? There's a plethora of talented coaches here. A lot of coaches that could get head coaching jobs. Deuce Staley, Thomas Brown, Evero, right? Campen, I don't know if he would be a head coach, but there's a lot of guys on this team that have a lot of voices. And I think the lack of cohesiveness, the and confidence, particularly on the offensive side, is definitely apparent with this team. And I think the abundance of voices in the decision making process might contribute to why our team is struggling, right? Another thing, we are in aggressive pursuit of a wide receiver one. Desperation for us in this front office is aggressively seeking a top tier wide receiver. Scott Fitter is actively working to provide that number one option for Bryce Young. And this team's commitment to Young has them for asking for immediate help, right? And so that's why we are in pursuit of this, right? So a lot of development going on with that, a lot of rumors going on with that. We all know that. We see it all over the place, right? So, what are you going to do when the problem is that let's break down, we're going to break down some more issues, but we'll get into that now, right? So here are some issues, okay? Right? The Panthers offense, it's a comedy of errors, man. The offensive scheme is quickly becoming the punchline of this season, right? The screen passes on third and long, poor clock management, delay of games, congested route concepts, all of those check off all the boxes. I think it's like watching a comedy of errors unfold every single game, leaving Bryce Young visibly frustrated. You're throwing him to the wolves, and Wright even called a play for a player that was injured. I mean, that's just a classic mix-up, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, another thing, red zone. The red zone is where the Panthers also truly lack. Okay. 2 trips against the Vikings, 0 touchdowns, right? Priceless. Priceless. Drop passes in the end zone, failed runs, false starts, incomplete passes. It's as if they're auditioned for a slapstick comedy routine. And don't even get me started on the protection or lack thereof, right? So the wrong offensive weapons. That's also the lack of issues here too, right? Let's talk about the tale of Miles Sanders is unbelievable because this epic saga of what we're going through with this team right now, with the misuse of offensive weapons, Miles Sanders, I think, takes center stage. Despite the injuries, poor performances, he gets more snaps than Chuba Hubbard and Laviska Shenault, who actually I think have looked decent. And I think Chuba Hubbard's definitely outplaying Sanders. Sanders even played through a groin injury, but it's like insisting of using a banana. Literally, it's like insisting on using a banana as a phone when there's a smartphone right there. I mean, it's literally. And then, of course, the atrocious offensive line. It's a comedy of sacks. I can only laugh at these things at this standpoint. It's a comedy. This place is a laughing stock of the NFL right now because 5 sacks allowed in a single game, and then Harrison Smith was feasting on rookie Chandler Zavala in the last game. It's the kind of protection you'd expect from a paper umbrella in a hurricane. And Kwanu's sophomore slump is the cherry on the top because making this offensive line, like I said, the punchline of the year. But there's other issues, guys. There's other issues that are going along with this, right? Loco, I see your comment in here. Right, exactly. That's my mindset. That's my mindset. Icky can't not be getting beat outside consistently. He might as well be a guard. The problem is Loco is he is so bad off the line, man. His footwork is so slow off the line. He has no explosiveness off the line. Right. He is getting beat by speed rusher after speed rusher after speed rusher. Right. So he's getting tormented. Yeah, Taylor Moton has gotten Taylor Moton has gotten some work done too, right? He's getting worked as well. But here comes all the issues, right? All the issues that come down is not just these, right, guys? All the issues that come down to this is that our front office this offseason promised us talent. There is lack of talent on this team. They did nothing in the free agency or the draft to help build this team up. Okay. Then you hire Frank Reich, who I think is a testament of a control freak head coach who has not allowed his offensive coordinator, who has the creative mindset and the scheme that fits the NFL today. Then you don't do anything to put any good, decent wide receivers out there. Besides, the only one that's the shining point of this team is Adam Thielen. But you don't put anybody out there that can create separation besides a 32-year-old Thielen, and all these other guys that we have that are younger talent can't create separation. That's another issue. Offensive line, the depth there is there. The problem is the injuries have killed us. Austin Corbett dealing with the ACL, trying to come back. Obviously, losing our starting left guard, Brady Christensen, that was a huge blow, and he was doing very well. Adding in Throckmorton, he's actually been pretty good. I actually am surprised by him. I actually see him moving over to left guard once Corbett comes back. I don't think we'll see Zavala as a starter the rest of the season. I think he's going to be a rotational piece. Another thing is then on the defensive line, you cannot stop. Let's continue on the offense. Another thing that we're fumbling there is that our offensive line, though, is not creating any protection for Bryce, and they're not doing him any favors when you're allowing 5 sacks against the Minnesota Vikings. Another thing is then also we cannot create run lanes to save our ass, right? So there's your offensive issues. Defensively, can't stop the run. Can't stop the run whatsoever. But from the offensive side standpoint, yes. Let's go. Let me finish one more thing with the offensive line. Every issue is coming into my head as I continue to talk. Another thing from the offense standpoint, right? The play calling. Okay, we all know that it needs to be the clock management issues, the communication issues with Frank Wright, Bryce Young, that has to be solved, right? Frank needs to not be a play caller. He needs to be a game manager. He needs to be the game managing head coach and leave the play calling to Thomas Brown. Release the reins over. Right? When is he going to do that? I don't know. I don't know, guys. Another thing. So let's go into the defensive side now, because I'm done with the offense. I think I hit every nail on the head on the offensive side. Defensive side, can't stop the run. Secondary is shallow as a kid's swimming pool. Injuries have plagued us there. Dante Jackson, JC Horn are both injury prone. One of them was going to get injured. Of course, JC was the one who got injured. And Dante Jackson has had a awful start to the season. Right? So there's that. You lose Xavier Woods. You lose Shaq Thompson. Right? We haven't had a decent linebacker core since the Luke Kuechly days. We haven't had a really good leader in the middle since the Luke Kuechly days. Pass rush, I have nothing to say against because of Brian Burns, Luvu. They're doing their thing, right? Pass rush wise, we are doing very well, I think, right? We're still consistently getting 4 to 5 sacks a game, right? So, another thing from the defensive side standpoint, though, is that our corners, besides CJ Henderson, who actually has stepped up and actually done pretty well, which I was shocked, right? YGM has stepped up. So, but we still lack depth. We still lack somebody back there who can be a true lockdown corner, right? And JC Horn, I thought was going to be the guy, but he can't stay on the field, and that's an issue. Again, best ability is availability, right? Um, Jeremy Chin, he's kind of stepped up, but I feel like with the way that Evero's defense, the system runs, he doesn't fit, right? I just don't feel like he's fitting in very well. So that's an issue. So that's why I considered him a trade target, right? When we broke down the trade guys who I could consider trade candidates from this team, I'm doing that from a valuable value standpoint of guys that, you know, who are we going to get value out of, right? Obviously, when it comes to those trade values, Andy Dalton's a guy that we could trade away because somebody looking for stability, right? That value is there for him, right? Somebody like the New York Jets. Okay. Dante Jackson, his contract, he's getting paid over $15 million this year, right? But he's having a poor performance. But the only way you're going to get rid of him is unless the right situation, the right value is there because of the contract. And nobody on, I don't think anybody on the team or on an opposite team is going to be willing to trade for him because of his contract, right? Another thing, you trade Jeremy Chin just because if he has the value, right? You're going to be able to get some kind of decent piece out of him, whether it's draft picks or, you're trading it for a certain player, right? You know, um, Luvu, he's on his contract year this year. He's looking for an extension, but he's also going to be he has valuable compensation at the end of the day. Brian Burns is another guy I mentioned because he's the only person on the team who probably can get a first round pick for, right? So the list goes on and on with or at least from that list standpoint that I brought out, and I made it even a short about it, and I even talked about it yesterday. But those are the guys that we're going to have to be looking at trading because they're the only ones, and probably Sanders could be on the trade block as well because he's just underperforming, and we were paying him the money that we should have been paying a true number one wide receiver, right? So Big Smurf, I'm open to that, honestly. Have Chuba in for first, second downs, and then have Tyreek in for third down plays because he's a guy that's versatile in the pass catching game. That's why he was so good for so many years because he was so fast and so versatile out of the backfield because of the explosiveness he has. And even if he even has 75 to 80% of what he had, he could be a big playmaking ability, right? I mean, I would say on that standpoint, Big Smurf, Deshaun Jameson stepped up last game, right? That was a big one. After last week, I think Sam Franklin can turn it up and just not every single game. Yeah, Sam Franklin's definitely has stepped it up. Can he do it every single game? Yeah, that's definitely the question, right? Right. Yeah, I mean the defense, I do have to give them credit. They have done well, but we still lack depth and injuries, and of course, injuries have plagued us there. But they can't get off the field because our offense can't stay on the field long enough, so it doesn't help them. I don't think Chin's overrated. I just think that he is just doesn't fit in this defensive system, right? Because over the years, with the other defensive system that we had, he was doing just fine, right? Yeah, get Sanders out of here. Yeah, I at this point I want to do running back by committee. right? Like how we were doing last year with Deontay Foreman and Chuba, right? Marcos Cash, what up, man? Panther Nation, Detroit gonna try to get revenge on us instead. They might. I got Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy, so I got him starting. I mean, you know what I mean? Pats just traded for JC Jackson back from the Chargers. Yeah, I saw that. And it's unfortunate for Gonzalez because Gonzalez was having a hell of a rookie season. So that's unfortunate. But JC Jackson is he said that he came out and tweeted that Tua was a bum, which that's kind of funny to me. Sanders is only $6 million a year. I still am going to wait until Corbett comes back, not giving up on anyone just yet. I feel you. I just when you're getting outplayed by Chuba Hubbard, it just tells me a lot. That just tells me a lot, man. You know, it kind of says enough for me, right? Not signing Foreman was a huge mistake. I thought so too because he fits so well with the run scheme that we were running. Eagles do it best. 3 running backs: Kenny G, Swift, Scott, whoever hot hand gets most. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Running back by committee, man. Running back by committee. Right. So we can always go back and re-sign Foreman. He's just sitting on the Bears practice squad. Interesting. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. I would consider it because he would be a nice power back, right? He can blow through the lines. He doesn't mind. He's a downhill runner. He does not care about going up the middle and putting his head down, right? Sanders not impact runner. He ran through a whole running back. Yeah, I mean he's just not a downhill runner, right? He's an elusive outside runner kind of guy, right? He's not going to go up the middle and pound it like a Saquon or Chuba Hubbard or not Chuba, or well, even Chuba. I mean, Chuba, I feel like is more of a downhill runner than Miles, but he's not a Deontay Foreman who runs straight at the middle. He's not a Derrick Henry who can plow it through. You need a guy like that. And then you can throw in a guy like Miles Sanders out the backfield when you're trying to do some pass catching check downs kind of ordeal, right? So, that's an issue. So, all right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Let's get to know these guys a little bit. So, I'm going to break them down real quick. All right. Detroit, they look very good against Green Bay last Thursday. Obviously, they have played last Thursday, and now they've had basically from last Thursday's game till obviously this Sunday's game to obviously rest up, right? They definitely showed me that they are still the team to beat in the NFC North. I still see them winning that division. Detroit has done very well in a lot of aspects of things, especially bouncing back from a terrible first year there for Dan Campbell, coming back last year, right? Because this is Campbell's third year, if I'm not mistaken. I think Campbell's first year they went 2-15. Last year they went 9-8, right? And they started out 0-6. And did they make the wild card? No, they didn't make the wild card. Almost did, but they took out the Packers last year from making the wild card. But they have an explosive offense and a very strong defense. Their offensive firepower is just firing on cylinders. They're ranked top 10 in points scored. Total yards this year, they've put up over 1,500 yards. Jared Goff is at 1,000 yards this year already. Rushing yards are at 546 in the first 4 weeks of the season. Now, Jared Goff is leading the charge there. Obviously, 6 touchdowns. He's got a 69.5% completion rating. Amon-Ra St. Brown, somebody the Panthers passed up on to get Terrace Marshall Jr. Funny how that works out, right? That's obviously his go-to target. He's got over 331 yards, 2 touchdowns this season. Rookie tight end Sam Laporta. He's making some waves as a rookie. 22 receptions, 242 yards, setting an NFL record for tight ends first 4 games. Defense, the Lions defense is tough as nails, especially against the run. They lead the league by allowing only 243 rushing yards this year. They've only allowed 243 rushing yards this year, right? No team has cracked 90 yards against them this season. Okay. Their pass defense, okay, ranks 18th, all right, conceding 879 yards through the year. So the leading defense charge are, Jerry Jacobs and Brian Branch, both with 25 tackles each. Rookie Brian Branch is already making a name for himself with 3 tackles for a loss and a 50-yard interception. Hutchinson's on the hunt, man. I mean, defensive end, he's proven to be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. He's tallied up already 3.5 sacks this season, a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. And then also Jameson Williams. All right. He's boosted a return, right? He has been reinstated, serving a 4-game suspension for violating the NFL's gambling policy. I think I can't believe that they suspended him for that. I mean, this league, this NFL league with some of these suspensions, is really pissing me off, especially from the gambling standpoint, right? Even for Calvin Ridley, these players get away with domestic abuse, but yet they'll serve a whole sentence for 1 season for gambling on even if it's even if it's not NFL. Like, who knew what they were gambling on? We don't know. You know what I mean? So, but we know Jameson Williams very well, right? Big playmaking ability, got that speed. He continues to add depth there at that wide receiver position for the Detroit Lions. So, I mean, our secondary is going to have its fits between Laporta, Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is scary. Plus, hell, you can even say Josh Reynolds has had a hell of a year already. You got also Devontae or David Montgomery. You got Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. I mean, they've got weapons and every single position on the offense. That offense if Jared Goff, all he has to do is be average with the offense that they have, right? And the offensive line is protecting him very well too. So it's going to. I could see this being a 48. I'm not giving you my prediction. I'm just telling you what I think I could see for fruition. We'll definitely break down some more of this game leading on down to, this week. As always, I'll always do a game and prediction preview on Friday. So, but that's what happens when you have a competent front office bringing in free agents, bringing in, talent. Their scouts obviously knew what they were doing when they got Amon-Ra St. Brown, got Jameson Williams, got David Montgomery, got Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, right? Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson, Branch, right? All these guys. So I will say this. It's not going to be a fun. This game could get real out of hand quickly. This game could get out of hand very quickly. Right. I'm tired of seeing Sanders run right into the wall. Big bodies. Marcos Cash, I feel you. It's like he runs into a brick wall every single time. Right. I'll personally apologize to Foreman. I feel you. If I saw Deontay Foreman right now, I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry that we didn't re-sign you. I'm pissed off that we didn't. Yeah, they did. That's what I'm saying, man. They drafted very well. They knew what they were doing. Big Smurf, yeah. We'll talk more about that. Breaking news: Corbett is back. Yeah, I knew at some point he was coming back. I knew Austin Corbett was coming back. I just didn't know when. I didn't know if it was going to be this week or if they were going to hold him off till the bye week, right? Or if it was going to be the Miami game. I knew it was going to be soon, but I just didn't know how soon. Obviously, it's at this point where it's just like, all right, let's throw him in there, right? Because what else are we got? What else do we have to lose at this point? But if he's got to be 100% ready to go, right? Because he's been rehabbing since the whole thing happened, right? So, and of course, most of these guys in the NFL, once they get injured with these ACLs, they immediately next day basically already have a doctor's appointment to get surgery done. Most of them do, right? So, and so he's had a lot of time to rest, even 4 plus, all off season plus 4 games, preseason, all that. Yeah. So I'm not surprised he's 100. He's not he. I'm not surprised that he's ready to go. Nice, just broke. Break second. Okay, cool. So I'm glad to know that he's on the practice field. Good to know that. I knew he was going to be Mad Shatter at some point. Just didn't know when. Only hope for us at this point is if we catch lightning in a battle and the rest of the NFC South falls off the cliff. Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying this. But I can't believe Tampa Bay is where they are, man. A part of me thinks, did we let Baker down too? Right? Did we let Baker down too? Right? Who did we let because look at what he's doing. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We got to keep on moving forward, keep pounding, right? That's what we got to do. I'm getting to everybody's comments, and then we'll move on to the next section. We knew Corbett would be practiced this week, but we'll have to wait and see when he starts, though. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if he starts. If not, like I said, I think it won't be. If he doesn't start this game, it won't be until after the bye week. I really don't think I don't think we'll see him start against Miami if he doesn't start this game either. So, Clay, what you say? Good day, bro. What's up, Supernova? Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you joining the live stream, as always. So, hope you're having a blessed day. I hope everybody in here is having a blessed day. Make sure you pound that like button, guys. Golf looks good with the Lions, not gonna lie. Yeah, he definitely does. He definitely does. I think Jared Goff is underrated more than what people think. Jared Goff kind of reminds me of not his playing style, but just like him, I guess as his player persona as he's gone around the league, right? Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Matthew Stafford kind of guy. And I know that's kind of weird to saying because think about it, Stafford. A lot of people I heard a lot of people thought Stafford was underrated, but I never thought Stafford was underrated. I just don't think he was in the right situation when he got to Detroit. Andy Dalton standby. Okay. Lions top 10. Yep. We need Lion scouts. Yeah, we do. Yeah, I want not gonna lie there. It would be nice to definitely have their scouts after what they've put together with this team. I can't lie. I can't lie. I really liked Mingo in the draft. I did too. I thought that think about it, most of those Ole Miss guys, man, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, most of those wide receivers are usually pretty good, right? They're usually true number one guys, and they usually make an immediate impact. But I think Mingo is just I don't know what we have in Mingo yet. I really even can't say if he's a bust or not, but at least from a second round standpoint. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, dude, Aiden Hutchinson he's going to get pressure. Whether he gets even though he's had 3.5 sacks, even if he doesn't get one, he's going to be a disruptor. He is a disruptor at the end of the day. Who will Austin replace after 9 months? He'll take the right guard position. He'll go back to where he was at. He'll be at right guard, and I guarantee you they'll throw Throckmorton at the left guard because Throckmorton plays both sides. I don't see Chandler Zavala starting the rest of the season. I see him being a rotational piece because he's getting blown out, right? I know I talk shit about Bryce, but I don't want the man to get hurt. No, me neither. I don't talk shit about Bryce because I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket and say that he's a bust. I can't say that when a team like us have done nothing to really help the kid out. And, I feel that our front office has done him no favors. And I feel like our coaching staff has also been doing him no favors. So, you know, that's where I'm at. Buccaneers lost to the Eagles, power rank, Bears, Saints, terrible. Vikings bottom. Baker is a little yeah. Panther Raider X says, I hate the fans that are like, he sucks. He's a rookie. He sucks. And then he turns out good, like there. And then like well, here's the thing, man. Our fan base is so wishy-washy, right? You know, I've never seen, and that this is for other Panther creators, right? I get it. We traded up for a guy who's a true that we got over at, for the number one overall pick, right? You know, I saw some good stuff too, Match Chatter on 22. But you cannot expect a first round draft pick, number one overall, to immediately go out there and just ball out. Again, you just can't. I have never seen a rookie quarterback just go out there and ball out. Trevor Lawrence didn't do it his first year. Justin Herbert, that was a different story, but he was that offense is loaded with talent. So, the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. They didn't have a lot of talent, but when they finally got Christian Kirk last year, they put some weapons around him. They had ETN, and ETN started playing, coming into his own. They got him Ingram. They started playing better, right? Because he had weapons around him. You can't expect guy to come out and be like Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes, right? Josh Allen, his first year, they went 6-10 or 7-10, whatever, or it was like 6-11. Did not do well, right? He didn't have the best rookie stats either. Peyton Manning, same thing. There's been guys that are first overall picks that their first year, they just don't come out and ball out, right? CJ Stroud right now is just a different story, man. We might have made the wrong move. Okay. That might come to fruition, right? But at the end of the day, I don't feel like people should just go ahead and say, well, Bryce isn't the guy. Cam even came out and said, the great Cam Newton, even came out and said that this front office has done nothing to help Bryce out. He goes, even with Chark and Thielen, these wide receivers, okay? These wide receivers are nothing to what he had, right? Look at when Cam came in. He had Steve Smith, a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He also had D'Angelo Williams. He also had Jonathan Stewart. He also had Greg Olsen, right? He had weapons. He also had, right? Cam also had a defense with Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, right? All these guys that were back there, man. So, I just don't think that you can put all your expectations and just say, okay, well, Bryce isn't the guy after 4 games. It's not even year 1 yet for the kid. Yes. Are there some issues with him? His hesitation, right? His decision-making, ball security, the fumbles, holding on to the ball too long. Sure. But the talent is there. And you can't deny that. The talent is there. That's what I'm saying, Matt Chatter. I saw some good stuff on 22 too. Well, in that case, Panther Raider X, the only way we're going to get a first round pick back is unless we trade Brian Burns. But then if we do that, guys, if we trade Brian Burns for, let's say we trade Brian Burns, right? Okay. Let's say we trade Brian Burns. Okay. And we get a first round pick, or we get some value out of him. Let's just say we get 2 first round picks and a second round pick. We're just going to, because that's what his value is, really. Okay. Let's say we get that, right? Okay. Then our pass rush is going to suck. And then everybody's going to say, well, why did we trade Brian Burns? Our pass rush it sucks now. Well, yeah, but that's the only way you're going to be able to produce draft capital back and be able to prepare for the future. That's what we have to do now. We're in that situation all over again. We are in rebuild mode. Yeah, I mean, we bargain shopping at wide receiver doesn't help. However, Thielen was a good pickup. Absolutely. Our bargaining has not done us any favors with this. The front office has done us no favors when it comes to bargaining for talent, right? Yeah, you can. I mean, Randy Gregory got released today. I mean, I know he's older, but it's a guy that can just fill in that void, right? Unless you're somehow we're able to swindle a pass rusher, a decent pass rusher, and a wide receiver for Brian Burns, right? Marcus Cash, I don't know if any team will give us a first round pick for Burns anymore. Maybe, maybe not. Burns wants 32 mil. He ain't sure 30. Yeah, I mean, that's also too. James, get ready for 0-6. I'm already preparing myself mentally. So speaking of, since we're going to be going ahead and talking about our record, right? Since we're based off of James' comment there. So here's the thing. Can you see those percentages? I was trying to make them as clear as I possibly could. But these percentages is what I found on us winning these games the rest of the seasons, right? And that's what's part of this. Will the Panthers ever get a win this season? That's the last thing we're going to be talking about today. Because obviously we're still trying to find our first win, right? And it's still in the early days of this season, and history still reminds us of rare instances where NFL teams endure winless seasons. And in the 21st century, only two teams have done so. 2008 Detroit Lions, 2017 the Cleveland Browns. Both suffered that fate. Right? But what has never occurred is a team completing an entire 17 regular season without a single win. So, as fate has it, the only two teams yet to get a victory this season are us and the Chicago Bears. Right? Who we orchestrated a significant offseason move with. And the implications of the trade could be substantial for the Bears if the Panthers continue to struggle, right? Because they hold our first round pick in this year's draft, addition to their own. So, so let's not dwell on which team is more likely to endure a 17th season, but let's shift the focus on to what this Panthers rest of their schedule looks like, right? And these are the percentage chances from ESPN FPI that I got these percentages from for our upcoming schedule. And each and every one of these percentages is that's how much percent they're giving us a chance to win. Because the next two games against Detroit and the Dolphins are both on the road. Obviously, both challenging matchups. Both have strong, right? Strong offenses. Detroit, they are big in the trenches, likely to pose problem on both sides of the ball for us. Dolphins got one of the, like I said, prolific offenses. Then you got the bye week, right? The schedule seems somewhat more favorable, but appearances can be deceiving, right? The Texans and the Colts both are sitting at 2-2, right? They're both playing competitive football right now with their rookie quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. So these matchups are no slam dunk wins, right? And realistically, splitting these games would be the best case scenario. Now, according to the Action Network, which I did a little bit more research, the Action Network has said that the Panthers are slated to be a 3-point home favorite against the Texans. However, this could swing in the opposite direction depending on how both teams perform in the coming weeks. Personally, the Texans game appears to be the first winnable contest on the horizon for us because you look at the percentage there, right? But Thursday night game, Chicago might be the one that holds the most promising for us. And maybe the Colts. But, best case scenario is splitting those games. So I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention as well. Raiders would love Burns next to Crosby. Yeah, they would have to give us. You might be able to swindle them. I don't know what their draft picks look like. Could beat the Bears. I could see us beating the Bears. The Bears are in turmoil from an offensive standpoint too, but hell, the last game at least, you know, Justin Fields threw for over 300 yards. Yeah, Marcos Cash, he kind of fades in the first half. He's putting the pressure on, but in the second half, it seems that he's falling away. But no, Marcos Cash, we also have to think about that our offense can't stay on the field long enough for our defense to rest. So that's an issue, right? We're not scoring any points, right? And we are, I think I don't even know in the red zone, what are we? I guarantee you our percentages is absolutely awful. Carolina Panthers red zone percentage. Wow, we're 26th in the league at 44%. We're 26th in the league at 44% in the red zone. So we're not scoring any points. So we're not doing our defense any favors, right? All right, I'm gonna sit down. I love having a stand-up desk, guys. If I don't know if any of y'all work from home or have a office job and you have a desk or whatever, but get yourself a stand-up desk. It's a wonderful thing. All right. Another thing is getting a number wide receiver could up that percentage, maybe, but it depends on who it is and if he fits in. But also, when the thing is the play calling does not help. The play calling does not help the fact of even us getting a number one wide receiver. I feel like, but who knows? Maybe they'll open up the playbook more when they actually have a true wide receiver that can create separation. I don't know. The confidence is very low in this locker room between coaches and players. I don't think coaches, there's too many voices between the coaches, number one. Number two, our coaches, I feel like Frank Wright doesn't trust Bryce. He doesn't feel confident enough in him right now. And maybe that's because Frank is a control freak, right? Because he wants to control the narrative, but he needs to understand that you need to open up the playbook to your quarterback's playmaking abilities, right? Every quarterback in the NFL is a system quarterback. You can't just say one is a system quarterback and not the other. And I truly believe that styles win fights. The same thing in the UFC. Like I said before, styles win fights in UFC. Systems fit certain players. Burns 1 sack and jogging on run coverage. I won't cry. Yeah. The worst part about not getting a win is no first round pick. Yeah, exactly. So you have that's why these trades and these trade rumors are coming in, even though getting a wide receiver might, how much is that really going to help us though? Like, as much as I wanna get a true number 1 wide receiver, how much is that really, really going to help us? Right? Especially when it comes to draft capital. I think that's part of me thinks that's a little bit more important when you're preparing for the future and you're rebuilding, because I feel like that's where we're at, right? We look like the worst team in the league, and it's not close. Oh, absolutely. We are absolutely in shambles right now, James. Big Smurf coming in saying Fitter will trade Burns for a flock of bust players and a third round get fired. You know what? If that happens, I might. Oh, mm. If our front office does not make the right moves here soon, whether it's what depending, whether it's draft or not drafting, but trading away certain players to get compensation, whether it's draft picks or getting a wide receiver here, and we get swindled, I'm going to be absolutely pissed. And then that's when I'm going to say that it's over. The season's over, and we have nothing to look forward to. But we had the chance to make the right moves now to maybe at least stop put a band-aid on the bleeding, to stop the bleeding, right? Burns proving we don't need him because 0 sacks isn't exciting. Right. Doesn't help either, though. Again, guys, that I'm still saying this, Kev. It does not help when your offense cannot stay on the field long enough for to let your defense rest. This swing for Fence third time with most GM gets one chance will be the last chance with wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, but for that, yes. But also at the same time, this is the last chance I'm giving Scott to make the right moves to stop the bleeding. Because at this point, we just need to stop the bleeding and get through the rest of the season at a somewhat of a, not necessarily has to be a winning record, but just a somewhat of excitement, somewhat of whether it's draft capital or whether it's, us getting a number 1 wide receiver, you know, whatever it is, but just stop the bleeding. Help our rookie quarterback out, get a true number 1 receiver, and get some draft capital and value out of some guys. Guys, make sure you pound that like button. I'm going through the chat with you guys right now. The 8-0 Bowl by Marcos Cash. Adding yet another wide receiver isn't going to stop Young or Wright from calling screenplays or being less mediocre each game. That's what I'm kind of getting at, Kev. Yeah. I mean, at this point, that's what I'm saying. I think that at this point, you need to trade guys for their value and get some stability at least in this locker room, but also get the draft capital because you don't have a first round pick in 2024. You know what I mean? Wanda Norris, I get you, but at the same time, he's the only one that's going to help us get a first round pick in 2024, and we don't have one. And I get it. Our pass rush would lack without him there. But at the same time, you have to think for the future at this point because we don't have enough talent on this team to be successful. We just don't. We've done ourselves no favors to bolster up the lack of depth in the corner room. We've done no favors to put wide receivers that can create separation besides a 32-year-old Adam Thielen that's cooking these other young wide receivers. You bring in Miles Sanders, who was behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and that was the only reason why he shined. Miles Sanders is starting to prove as to why he was what he was until the Eagles became what they were. Right? All 20 to 30 nothing Miles Sanders runs replaced with screens. We're good at that. The only thing is at this point, you run the ball with, I mean, hell, at this point, you might as well put Laviska Shenault back there because I guarantee you he runs up the middle a lot harder than Miles Sanders does. Hell, I think I've even seen it. Maybe you move Laviska to the running back position, and you use him and Chuba Hubbard, running back by committee. Because what else? Because Miles Sanders isn't doing us no favors. What I'm saying is, his Burns is not a game changer, but sitting out, he would have the leverage to say, y'all are 0-4 and I'm not playing, and then maybe we get a first for him. Maybe. I mean, he still has the leverage now, right? We need a second good tight end to join Hurst. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I just don't know who we would get. I really don't. I don't know who we would get. It makes me think, guys, like, let's go, like, if we went around the league, right? And if we looked at every NFL team in the NFL right now, how many of them actually have true number one wide receivers, right? So if we look at a list, all right, let's go on ESPN real quick, and we're going to look at each and every team in the NFL. Like, we'll look at all right, from this standpoint, okay? So let's go look, because this is something we're talking about, right? We're talking about these true number one wide receivers, all that. Let's go look at every team in the NFL and who has a true number one wide receiver. Okay. All right. So we're looking at this, right, from this standpoint. Buffalo Bills, you got Stephon Diggs. Miami, you can make a case that Waddle is a true number one too, right? I mean, you can make the case for that, but Tyreek Hill. New England, they ain't got nobody. And look how that's working out for them. I mean, Juju isn't a number one. Devontae Parker's not a number one, right? Jets, Garrett Wilson. Ravens, I guess you could say Zay Flowers at this point. I mean, he looks like their true number one, right? Bengals, Jamar Chase, but then also people are saying T. Higgins, right? These are true number one wide receivers. Now, these aren't true number one wide receivers I'm saying to target. I'm just saying these are teams in the NFL. So the only team so far that I've mentioned that doesn't have a true number one wide receiver is New England, right? Same thing here. Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper. Steelers, George Pickens. Houston, I guess you could say Nico Collins or Tank Dell, I guess. Right? Colts, Pittman, probably. Jaguars, they've got, Christian Kirk was their true number one, but now with Ridley, there he is. DeAndre Hopkins, Titans. Denver Broncos, you probably would say Jared Judy's their true number one. Chiefs, they move the ball. Everybody kind of eats there at the Chiefs, the way they run that offense. There's not really a true number one there, right? Devontae Adams, right? I guess you could say Keenan Allen. Dallas, CeeDee Lamb. Giants, they don't really have one, right? Philadelphia, I guess you could say Slayton maybe there at the Giants, right? Eagles, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, Justin Jefferson, London, Olave, Evans, but then they got Godwin, who could be a true number one, I think. Marquise Brown, Cup, Debo. Ayuk looks good though too. DK Metcalf. So out of the league, the only teams that don't have a true number one is New England. I guess you could say the Texans, because you could go between Nico Collins or Tank Dell, but Kansas City, I guess the Giants, us, and that's it. 5 teams in the NFL really only have true number ones. So, anyways, All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off of here. I'm going to get some shorts put together for you guys today as well. So make sure you pound that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Um, Make sure you always share the live. Go check out all the links. The links are down in the subscription or the description of this live stream. You got the Discord, you got all my social media, you got the Bet USA as well. So go check it all out. I appreciate everyone joining as always. Tomorrow we'll do week 5 picks, but we'll also be breaking down some more Carolina Panthers and NFL news. Now, if there's some breaking news that comes out that we trade for a number 1 wide receiver, if we make a trade or anything here soon, I will always be live breaking that down as well. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream. And as always, keep pounding. Peace.